My current role is Director of Brand and Communications for Rootstock Labs, a company working to make Bitcoin work for everyone by expanding its functionalities and allowing it to reach civilization scale.
Having worked with you guys for a number of years, I've always just been really impressed by the emphasis on security, emphasis on longevity, emphasis on kind of like making it real. You know, Dieguito, the founder, had the incredible example of he has bought his real house in Argentina using or leveraging his Bitcoin holding. And what would your advice be to other companies that are between 100 and 200 people bringing their staff together globally? What do you think's worked, and what do you think are the lessons?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, coming from the perspective of, as you said, we're like a fully remote organization. We have people around the world. So for us, the offsites are always an opportunity to come together to create connections and bond as much as they are for strategy and day-to-day work. And I think that's something that I would definitely give as advice to other people planning organizational offsites. You need enough structure that the outcomes are valuable and the time together is productive. But at the same time, you need to leave that breathing room and freedom for teams to be able to bond and connect without just being fully focused on business as usual and the day-to-day. And sometimes the best moments of inspiration and the stuff that comes out in the working sessions the next day can come out of taking a group hike together in the countryside, or sharing an amazing conversation about non-work topics over dinner. Like that stuff kind of sparks inspiration and creates the connection between the teams. So when you're back at your desk a week later, it's easier to reach out to people in other teams. It's easier to interact and collaborate with each other. And you're coming back kind of like renewed. So that's my number one piece of advice would be structure and freedom. You need to balance the two in your agenda to make sure that you're not only getting something out of it for the organization, but helping build bonds with the team, because without the team, you've not got anything. So that's almost priority number one, is just strengthening those bonds. And from that, you will see those kind of productive outcomes come as well.
Love it. I completely agree with you. I think having that balance between structure, outcomes, work, and then team bonding, freedom, letting a little bit of magic to see what happens, right? And I think in general, Rootstock have done that well. If we broke those down, what do you think are some of the best bonding and freedom activities you've seen, or talks? You know, we've done a few together that kind of really work best.
Yeah, I think that's a really good one. And it comes again back to that idea of like breaking out the day-to-day. We are a company primarily focused on Bitcoin and building infrastructure to extend Bitcoin's capabilities. That doesn't mean that everything you do in the offsite should be fully focused on that bubble that you exist in, which for us is the Bitcoin bubble. Bringing in external perspectives from other industries, other areas of the world can bring a lot of value and help you see things in slightly different ways. And I think the example that jumps to mind straight away was a workshop we did with you guys with a big wave surfer. Laura
Crane, yeah. So she surfs 80-foot waves, top 3 big wave surfer in the world. And she spoke to you guys about resistance and fear, right?
Exactly. And for me, I think that was a really good both talk and kind of interactive exercise that helped everyone break out of the bubble and think about the bigger challenges that everyone faces, every organization faces, every individual faces, facing fear being one of them. And from that, it's something that is so detached from what you're doing when you're behind your desk every day doing the work. It helps recenter and refocus everyone around the bigger challenges that people are facing. And I would always encourage people running these offsites to think about that. It's not only about internally focused, what are we doing as a business? It's looking at the wider world. It's thinking about the bigger challenges beyond the tech or the market that you operate in, and perhaps bringing in some external speakers who can kind of help everyone in the team kind of elevate beyond those day-to-day things and think about these bigger picture challenges.
I love it, right? So there's that element of like zooming out. We're all humans, and to refocus ourselves and togetherness. There's something very powerful about learning together. So we've done together the Laura Crane big wave surfing. We've done a coaching workshop that some people loved, and learning together, I think, is a really powerful experience. So I love that. Go and learn something together as a company.
100%.
And what about moving to the next, the other pillar, kind of the outcomes and the valuable work? What do you think of the sessions that worked best? Were they more workshops? Were they more presentations? What topics is it nice to look at as a company?
Not overwhelming the agenda with different topics. I think coming into it a really clear view of what you want to achieve each day. I also think in some ways, well, two things. One, bringing in people from across the organization to help facilitate these sessions and these workshops is one thing. And I think the other side of that as well is like the preparation in advance. Like you can't just turn up with a blank canvas. I mean, you don't have all the answers, but you have a vision or a hypothesis with the freedom of the team then to develop between all of you. How are we going to get there? So I think that's why day one and the kind of like recap on vision and some strategy setting for the year, like what do we want to achieve as an organization, can be really important. And then coming back to that every day and just recapping and reminding, why are we here? What are we trying to achieve? Can be a really good way to make sure you're kind of getting that valuable outcome out of it. The other one, which is probably like quite obvious, but can be overlooked sometimes, is capturing what you're doing and then taking it forward once you're all back behind your desks to make sure it gets put into practice. So there's preparation, there is the event itself, and then there's almost like, what do we do afterwards to make sure that we really extract all the value out of this and make sure it's actually...
I love it, right? So trying to recap what you said. Number one, prepping. It takes so much more time and energy than most companies allow for and anticipate. Really prepping the agenda. And I love that you said, what's the key point for each day? Or for at least for a half day. Like, what do we want out of it? That prep is super important. Then there's the actual event. I love that you said to bring in different voices. Maybe people that don't necessarily normally get a platform to speak, asking them to prepare a workshop, helping them in advance, giving people different pedestals and different times to shine is brilliant. And then I really love what you said finally, which is one of my biggest outcomes, which is how do you capture the outcomes and make sure that they are driven after the offsite? And something I wish I'd done with you guys and with other organizations is to force everyone to put time in their calendars after the offsite, significant time, 2-3 hours every week for 3 or 4 weeks after the offsite, to integrate conversations, lessons, and actions. So I think that's a really, really brilliant learning as well. Absolutely. And you really want to move the offsite from flash in the pan, fantastic experience, we all hung out, into a key strategic pillar of the year that adds 10x value to the org every time you do it.
I think that's really important, is like exactly like you said, it's not just a flash in the pan, it's a strategic moment in the year that then you reflect back on throughout that year.